Okay, Load Screen took a little bit longer than anticipated. It's so good. It's okay. It's cool.
It's not me. It's not me.
Yeah. No, that's not what I was getting. I'm just saying, like, the intro timed out a little bit too quickly. Yeah. All right, it's a best of 5. Oh, I just said that word again. Stop it. It's a best of 5 finals. If you guys have never seen the ZOTAC Cup before, it's a €100 winner take all. There's no second place prize, and this also pretty much guarantees you a slot into the monthly final, which has an €800 prize pool. So some pretty good money to be earned here if you can win. But that's got to be the task in hand. Spawning in the top right corner of the map, he is your red Korean Protoss, Arthur.
And in the top left-hand corner, we have the royal purple Diestar playing as the Terran pieces.
Yeah, Millennium sporting on some pretty good players over the last, well, let's be honest, last while. But Diestar's kind of been on the team for a while. It's always been a very staple Terran to have, like, or sorry, not staple, but stable. Well, I guess also staple Terran player of the team.
Yeah.
We'll see how he comes up against Arthur. Again, Arthur is... He's certainly capable of playing very intense macro games, but he does tend to go for those sort of cheesier openings. Honest to God, I wouldn't be too shocked at all to see him open with an Oracle, much less a Blink all-in here on Frost of all maps.
Yeah. It's a decent map for proxy oracles. Like, we saw Monty go for a proxy oracle earlier today, and it proved to be very, very effective versus Diestar. So if Arthur does do that, that might be really good. But Arthur, since he's a more 2-base player, he might not want to go for proxy oracles, because usually you want to get your aggressive tech as soon as possible. So for example, if he wants to go for Blink, he wants to get the Twilight counter as soon as possible compared to get an Oracle followed by the Twilight. Not that you don't see that, it still happens. Like, you still see players like MC or many other players go for Oracle, harass, kill quite a bit of workers, and then go for Blink behind it. And they can even leave their Mothership Core back to defend while they use the Oracle for the vision. So yeah, we'll be seeing how Arthur will approach this game, and for Diestar, he'll most likely be playing very standard. Reaper, then Expand, then into Raxus, and yeah. Well, I rambled for very long.
Well, I was kind of letting you ramble because you're making good points. The other thing too is I'm a little curious. The one thing I would like to point out is like the pylon placement here. Like, really curious. That's kind of like I'm building a Stargate placement, but you can also highlight your Twilight Council up there or anything else you may want to do. Reaper coming over though will actually catch Arthur a little bit off guard here, I fear. There's a Stalker now coming out. There we go. Start trying to deal with this.
Yeah, I would say it's most likely a Twilight, given how much gas he's mining. If you're getting a Stargate, you want to get that as soon as possible. But not saying it's not a possibility. He might just skip the Mothership Core and still go for it. So we'll see. And he has done early scouts with the probe.
Yo, I
think
think
he does kind of know.
He may have delayed that command center just enough for the Stalker to get over here in time. I don't know. It's gonna be close.
Yeah, and he does get a Twilight Council. And one Stalker pushing out. He's just gonna poke at this, and he might actually get the SV.
This is what I'm talking about. I think with that probe, he delayed it just enough to get the Stalker over here and buy himself even more time.
Wow.
So of course he's not gonna try and kill.
Oh, wait, did the Reaper die?
Yeah, apparently so. I did not realize that. My bad.
Oh wow, Reaper dying in PvT is always a huge deal.
That's
because you lose so much map vision. Yeah.
And the thing is, Arthur.
Yeah.
Well, look where it's placed. Like, you can't even scan for this. Typically, you scan the Nexus, right? Like, you're not going to see this unless the scan is like misclicked or really, really lucky. So there's going to be Blink on Frost. Again, not at all surprised about this. I'm surprised the probe's actually still here, by the way. A little bit scary to see that. But this is... I sit here and I get frustrated only a little bit because I've been in this position. I've been in a Terran shoes. Oh, so we go set match, Diestar, Arthur. There you go. Sorry, guys. You can now vote for your players properly. I forgot to change that when we get to the finals.
I guess once they see this Twilight Council, they'll be voting for Arthur.
Well, I don't know if that would change their vote. I mean, I gotta be honest, I'm still gonna root for Diestar. It's not impossible to hold off a Blink all in. It's not like Polar Knight. It's not like these other much more abusive maps. But Arthur's doing small things like picking off Marines here for the cost of shields on his Stalker. Pylon's now finishing up. Diestar has no vision of this, unfortunately, and it's right next to him too. Like, that's the worst part.
And two Stalkers get whopped in. A third
he
one
might not even need to blink. There's 2 Marauders here, sure, but the Marine count's been thinned out and completely gutted. 2 Marauders is not going to hold up against this much.
So many units. And even in Harvest, the county's ahead.
Oh, God.
He basically doesn't even have to deal damage, and... like,
oh, there we go. Backs up,
he's ahead, yeah. So... well, against a 1 base, it's hard to blink all in against a 1 base 10. I can say that. But... with the amount of Stalkers Arthur will have once his blink completes... it's not looking good for Diestar, I can say that.
That's kind of a key thing though. Diestar just scanned the fact that the natural's down for Arthur, so he knows this is off of 2 bases. He knows his clock is now ticking, and the longer he sits on 1 base, the harder it's going to be for him to go to the late game. I don't like that he salvaged the bunker chest now, because he might think the blink aggression's done, but as we can see, that's not going to be the case. If he gets the tech lab, go for concussive shells. If he gets the tech lab, go for combat shields even.
And look at that time warp.
Actually, that's going to be a terrible time warp.
Yeah.
It's slightly off of where it needs to be, but gets a tech lab, gets a reactor. Small victories, but still victories nonetheless. Microing back with individual blink instead of completely, getting out of there all at once. He's actually picked off enough Marines that the Mothership Core is not in danger. That's really how you stop these pushes. Like, if you pick off that Mothership Core as a Terran player, you're so happy. Nothing's better than that feeling.
Now, that wasn't the perfect blink micro there by Arthur, but it's still gonna be enough.
Oh,
here.
Zealots
All you
too.
Do is target the Marauders
Diestar.
Right Diestar's not even gonna.
I wouldn't either. You know what? If we're gonna go back to that Protoss debate, man, it's like you come up with a blink on a map like Frost, and let's be honest, the only thing you can do as a Terran player is roll your eyes and be like, really?
Yeah. I mean, you can see every engage.
I mean, okay. All jokes aside,
just targeting the Marauders, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all jokes aside, Diestar lost the Reaper earlier, so he didn't get to scout that coming. Arthur, with his crazy good blink micro, kept the Stalkers alive longer than they should have. I mean, that wasn't a game where we call Protoss OP. You really don't. That was Diestar making some very minor mistakes that cost him the game, unfortunately. But the next map is going to be on Ultrazeme Strongholds, so... much bigger map, but a much harder map to pull blinks off. I mean, you can still blink into the main, but it's not to the same effect you can in a place like Frost. There's not a lot of angles to run around and make the Marines be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Anyways, we're just gonna jump right into it. Ultrazeme, see you in a sec.